response.
And it will be the biggest terrorist attack in the UK since 7/7 back in 2005.
Yes, we've heard that just looking at the numbers of people caught up in this. 19 people we know so far have been killed in this explosion, 59 injured, being treated at 6 hospitals across Manchester. And security services, they do plan for this because they have to, because there is that constant threat, unfortunately, in the world we live in at the moment, where they do have to continually monitor intelligence shared by governments and security forces across the world. They're constantly monitoring this, and unfortunately some do slip through the net. You can't stop everything.
Many thanks, Sarah. We also spoke to a little earlier Alan Andrews, who was at the front of the concert and heard the explosion.
Feeling very lucky now, yeah, very lucky indeed, because I was walking out thinking what was going on and just thought, I didn't think anything of it, but just saw a lot of safe people and thought, I just got in the car and went home, kind of thing. So I've been home for the last hour, luckily, but now I've seen everything unfold. It's very scary to think you were right near it. And like I said, I normally go out that exit as well when I normally go to the concert, and I'm normally at the top as well, not at the front. So
right.
Yeah, like you say, it could have been yourself.
So effectively, the way to the exit was at the back of the concert hall.
It's at the back towards the station, towards the train station. Yeah, cause that's the main kind of exit to get out. One of the main exits, because obviously to get to the train, 'cause a lot of people get lost train home. So that's where it's definitely purposely done there, because that would have been where the most people would have been. Yeah.
And people were on their way out at that particular moment.
Yeah, there would have been a peak time that everyone got out there, definitely. It would have been right at the peak time when everyone was walking out at that 10:35 or whatever it was, just after she'd finished, about 5 minutes after.
And you mentioned that people were saying there were different reasons. They weren't entirely sure what the noise had come from at the time, but they were just running as fast as they could.
Yeah, but then I did hear 1 or 2 girls, and they were screaming, they were coming straight out saying they saw blood, kind of thing, so they must have just seen it. But then other people were like, wasn't too sure, because they were obviously a bit far away, and they were trying to hopefully protect the kids, because there's a lot of kids, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, and were there lots of teenagers and younger children with their parents as well?
Yeah, that was the majority of the crowd, a lot of young teenagers, yeah, with the parents. And there was a lot of them waiting outside, worryingly, when I was walking out as well. Yeah. And
when you left, was anybody there to help people leave in an orderly fashion, or was it just...
Yeah, the stewards were, and all the police were turning up. Yeah, the stewards did a good job, to be fair, because some of them didn't know what had gone on, and some of them were just following the protocol that they got told, just to usher everyone out that way, and that was it. So, to be fair to them, they did a good job in the circumstances at the time. And then, as we were walking out, the alarm went off, saying, please evacuate ASAP. So that's when you knew something was serious. But luckily I was already on the street then.
And don't forget, with all the news coming in, you can stay completely up to date with everything at the BBC website. There's a live page following all the important information from the police and the officials. It has regular updates of the casualties as well as eyewitness accounts. Do visit bbc.com/news. Before we go, let's give you a reminder of our developing story this hour. Police in the English city of Manchester say at least 19 people have been killed and 50 others injured in an explosion at a pop concert by Ariana Grande. They said it was being treated as a terrorist incident. Witnesses says the American singer just finished her performance when the event happened.
Hello, welcome to BBC News with David Eads and Tom Donkin. We start with our breaking news from the northwest of England, as police say at least 19 people have been killed and more than 50 others injured in an explosion at Manchester Arena. They are treating it as a terrorist incident.
Witnesses reported hearing a loud bang at the venue at the end of the Ariana Grande concert. Eyewitnesses reported nuts and bolts strewn across the floor and the smell of explosives in the air. Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May said her thoughts are with the victims and their families, describing it as an appalling terrorist attack. Downing Street says an emergency meeting of the Cabinet Office is expected to take place around 9 a.m. in the morning local time.
Well, our correspondent Ed Thomas is close to the scene of the incident in Manchester, and Ed joins us now. I believe we can speak to Ed. Obviously, a few hours after the incident itself has been confirmed by Manchester Police that they are treating it as a terrorist incident. But what is the situation now?
Well, 5 hours now since this blast, and we've seen around several ambulances still leaving. These ambulances are packed with injured people making their way down here, being spread out to hospitals across Greater Manchester. Let me just give you a sense of where I am. We've moved to the north of the city, and this whole area is cordoned off now. You might be able to see a cordon down there. There's no getting in or out of there. And this is as close as we can get to the arena. You might see the car park there, the Q Park. Around there, at the back of there, is where the arena is. Now, most of the people who are at this concert have now made their way out, but we're still seeing people just wanting to get out of the city now, just wanting to leave and get home and get to loved ones. But right now we're told that 59 people are injured and 19 people have been killed.
Ed, obviously a huge shock for the city, and focusing, as everyone has pointed out already, on young people going to a concert. The target, I suppose, could hardly be softer.
Yeah, this place is full of teenagers, mainly young girls, children who just wanted to see their favourite pop singer. And it would have been those thousands of children who were making their way out of the foyer when this blast happened. Police have confirmed it happened in the foyer. Now, that is a place where people go out to buy their posters, to buy their shirts, their T-shirts, their scarves after a concert. It's where hundreds wait and stay before making their way home. And that is where this blast was centred. Now, a quick word on security. We know that when people are going into the arena, their bags are checked. Some people are told to empty their pockets. Security want to know who is coming in and what they've got on them. One thing which is not clear, at the end of these concerts, the doors open and hundreds and thousands of people come out. I've been there, the Manchester Evening News Arena, waiting for my children to come out. And it would be possible to walk straight through as soon as the doors open to meet people on the inside. We heard from the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police. He gave a statement earlier. He's urging people to give information to the police, to speak to them, and also to ring the National Terrorist Hotline if people have got any information that can piece together what happened here.
And Ed, as we wait for more details to emerge about this horrific attack, a positive distraction, if you like, is the community spirit on display there in Manchester. We hear stories of cab drivers turning their meters off, hotels taking in children while they wait to be reunited with their parents.
Yeah, we've just seen a taxi driver from Liverpool. He and his colleagues have come down here to pick up people from Liverpool to take them home. We've seen people who live in the city centre just approach people. There was a man with 2 young children. They were 10 and 12. And this man was on his phone and he was desperately trying to get somebody to come and pick him up to take him out of Manchester. This gentleman approached him. He said, "I'm not a taxi driver. I just live here. I'm not looking for any money. I will take you where you need to go." We've seen other people here handing out bottles to people just walking around. Another hotel to my right here, they were handing out cups of tea to police officers, to the media who was here. Yeah, so there was a sense of people coming together, just trying to help people who have witnessed such terror. And that is what police are calling this. They say that this is a suspected terrorist attack that has killed 19 people and left 59 people injured.
And Ed, are they able to start to piece together the sequence of events that led to this? I know it's very early on, but the suggestion seems to be it was one individual. Is there much that they can actually say at this stage?
What we know now, that is fact, is that there was an explosion. This blast at around 5 to 11, when the concert has finished and when thousands of people were making their way out. People talk about seeing a red fire, then they talk about feeling the heat, then they talk about seeing smoke. One man said that he felt the blast, it cut open his leg, and as he was cradling his injured wife on the floor, he said he could notice nuts and bolts around the floor. Now, we still don't know what the source of this blast was, but we have one source in the United States, an intelligence source, that has told the BBC that this is a suspected suicide bomber. And we also know that in some suicide attacks, bombers pack their bombs with nuts, with bolts, with nails, so they can have the maximum impact and cause the maximum number of casualties. But you know, there is a lot we don't know, and that is why the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police appealed to people here. He appealed to people to give him information. They will be checking the CCTV cameras across Manchester. There are hundreds of them in Manchester. This is one of the most closely watched cities in the UK. That CCTV will be being poured over. Police investigators are also going through social media feeds to try and find any clues that can help them understand what happened here.
Ed, for the moment, thanks very much indeed, Ed Thomas in Manchester.
And as Ed was mentioning, the Greater Manchester Police were appealing for any information for individuals and eyewitnesses from the event. They gave a press statement a little bit earlier, which gave precious little, you have to say, about the investigation, calling for people to give information and to let people know about their whereabouts for their loved ones.
Well,
I can confirm the details of last night's incident as we currently know them. At around 10:33 p.m, we received reports of an explosion at Manchester Arena in the city centre. This was at the conclusion of the Ariana Grande concert. Currently, we have 19 people confirmed to have lost their lives in the explosion and around 50 casualties that are being treated at 6 hospitals across Greater Manchester. My thoughts are very much with those that have been injured and lost their lives and their loved ones at this terrible time. We are doing all that we can to support them. Officers from Greater Manchester Police and Emergency Services are working at the scene and are supporting those affected. We are coordinating the operation here at Greater Manchester Police Headquarters. An emergency number is available for all those concerned about their loved ones or anyone who may have been in the area. The number is 0161 856 9400. We are currently treating this as a terrorist incident until we have further information. We are working closely with National Counter-Terrorism Policing Network and UK intelligence partners. This is clearly a very concerning time for everyone. We're doing all that we can, working with local and national agencies to support those affected as we gather information about what happened last night. As you will understand, we are still receiving information and updates, so we'll provide further detail when we have a clearer picture. I want to thank people for their support and ask them to remain vigilant, and if they have any concerns at all, to report them to the National Anti-Terrorist Hotline. The number is 0800 789 321. It is important also that people here in Manchester avoid the area around Manchester Arena so that emergency services can continue to effectively deal with the incident at that location. Thank you very much.
Ian Hopkins there, the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, and of course there are still scores of people trying to check up on their own loved ones, and for anybody concerned, just a reminder for you, you can contact a police emergency number. We'll give it to you again here, there it is on the screen, 0161 8569 400. Now, one of the fans inside the arena also captured that moment when fans heard an explosion. Well, sorry about that. We'll get that for you a little bit later, but the first signs of what actually happened within the arena itself. We've also been hearing from the British Prime Minister, Theresa May. In just the last few moments, she issued a statement in which she said, "We're working to establish the full details of what's being treated by the police as an appalling terrorist attack." And she went on to say, "All our thoughts are with the victims and the families of those who've been affected." We've also heard from the leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, who's tweeted, "Terrible incident in Manchester. My thoughts are with all those affected and our brilliant emergency services."
Well, let's pick up with Sarah Corker once again with all the very latest. Sarah, police obviously not giving much information away. They don't know much information at this stage. They're still trying to piece together the sequence of events which led to this horrific attack.
I think something that I picked up from that police statement there was that this is still a very fast-moving situation. It's an ongoing operation. Emergency services are still at the scene around Manchester Arena. It's 5 hours on now since reports started coming in of that explosion. But we've just seen on our pictures from Manchester a couple of minutes ago, ambulances still going past, people still being treated. The fire service put out on social media in the last half an hour or so saying, "We're still at the scene, please only call 999 if it is an absolute emergency." Pictures being emerged as well of where people are being treated. 6 hospitals across Manchester are treating 59 people who have been injured. We've not had much of an update on the type of injuries, but reports coming in saying some people have crushed injuries. So we've seen those images, haven't we, of people rushing to get out, because when you hear a bang like that in an arena, unfortunately in the current climate you think the worst, and some people will have been trampled perhaps as they're trying to get out. We've also seen pictures and video of people with bandages around their legs, shrapnel injuries, some hospitals have said they're treating. And we also heard from our correspondent, Thomas there, that one witness said they saw nuts and bolts on the floor. And that will be something that police detectives will be looking into, because so far we've heard there's been an explosion. They're treating it as a terrorist incident. But we haven't had much more information about what the cause of that was, what the device is. And I think the sense of nuts and bolts, one avenue they may be looking at is, was this some kind of nail bomb, for example? Obviously, we're in an early stage of this investigation. Police won't be ruling anything in or anything out. They will be looking at all avenues of inquiry and speaking to many of those people who were at this event and parents coming to pick teenagers up to find out what they saw, what they heard. And we know that the Prime Minister will be chairing an emergency meeting in London at 9 a.m. to look at the response to this.
And Sarah, this was a concert, if we put it into perspective, on a Monday evening. A pop star who's very much in favour with, teenagers, 20-somethings. Parents would have been going along thinking it's potentially one of the safest events they could go to because they're accompanying their child. This was very much a soft target, but not just that. It happened at the exact moment when people were potentially their most unguarded, as they were milling around, as they were buying merchandise.
And I think that's what many people are finding so shocking is, why, who would someone target an audience at this type of event? Ariana Grande attracts younger fans, teenagers. She was on a European tour, and we've heard parents taking their children to this gig. For many, it was the first concert that they've ever been to. And I think that's what people are trying to make sense of. Why would you want to purposely target young people out on a weeknight just wanting to enjoy a concert? That's something, again, that they will be looking at. And I think we're getting a sense of defiance is coming out of Manchester. If there's anything positive that can come out of such an awful event, it is everyone in Manchester seems to be rallying together. So we've heard taxi drivers giving people lifts home for free. We've heard people saying, if you're stranded, you need somewhere to stay, I will open up my house to you. And we've also heard from Manchester City Council leader, Sir Richard Lees. I think his statement really sums up the feeling in Manchester. If it is confirmed this was a terrorist attack, it is a monstrous act, but also a deeply futile one. Manchester is a proud, strong city, and we will not allow terrorists who seek to sow fear and division to achieve their aims.